What a bully! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. It's Rory now. On the outside, decent.
He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes, and Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly, finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell, saved by the keeper.
Burnley won it to the end. That is magnificent. They deserve that.
Only by Paul Teller, off for a hat-trick.
He's got it. Hat-trick for Nathan Teller. Oh, he's on fire at the minute. 3-0 Burnley. It's Nathan Teller's day.
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Top shot.
Oh, the goal. Manuel Benson once more. That is top class. Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarence deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everybody and welcome along to the latest episode of the Turfcast podcast pre-game show with me, Joe Redman, ahead of this weekend's game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge down in that there London. The Premier League is officially back. We've had the international break. And for once, I feel like the international break came at a bad time for Burnley because all season I've been buzzing for international breaks just to give us a bit of respite from getting battered every single week. Then we go and win a game, build a bit of momentum with some decent performances before that as well. And then, international break. And a tough one to start it off with as well, away to Chelsea, who, to be fair, aren't having the best of seasons. But we'll get into that. As you can see, I'm joined by Chelsea fan Charlie. He's from the Blue Brothers YouTube channel, and you would have seen him earlier in the season as well. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, mate, all good. As I said, glad that the international break's done. Get back to the business end of the season. And then, just push on now. Lots to play for at both ends of the table and stuff. So, pleased to be back on, mate, and looking forward to getting stuck into things.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed we have some positive stuff to play for Burnley towards the end of the season, of course. A win recently and a points deduction for Forest brings us back into it a little bit, but we'll get into that. Before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that this episode of Turfcast is sponsored by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game. The league season is entering the business end, as Charlie says, and Green King Sport venues are showing every single televised Burnley fixture over the running with more than 900 sports pubs across the UK. It doesn't matter where you're based, you can catch every single minute of the action, and football is best enjoyed with your mates. So if you're not at the ground this month, get a text in the group chat and head to your local Green King Sports venue to catch the game. And also, don't forget to download Green King Sports app to enjoy exclusive competitions and discounts whenever there's a game on. Now, Charlie, as I mentioned in the introduction there, obviously not the best season for Chelsea so far, but you obviously you wouldn't expect to be. Where are you in the Prem now? 11th. You wouldn't expect to be there, and I respect that, but it's not been horrendous. You've had worse seasons recently, put it that way. Got to the final of the EFL Cup, still in the FA Cup, I believe, but obviously not where you want to be. But how would you describe your season so far?
Mate, it's interesting because obviously last season was disastrous, and this season, on the face of it, in terms of league position, it's very much similar. But we made a cup final, which, all right, for Chelsea, shouldn't really be sort of celebrated as an achievement as such. It's like more of a requirement. But given the fact that we're not the Chelsea of old anymore, it's a new team, new manager, new everything pretty much. I think that Carabao Cup final, getting there, as much as we wanted to win it and as much as we shouldn't be sort of like bigging it up as such, it is an achievement for this group of players. It's a game that, I know trophies aren't given on ifs and buts, but it's a game that we should have won. And then, of course, we're in the FA Cup semi-finals as well. And look, you can look at the draws we've had in both cups. We've been at home every game, obviously bar the replay at Villa Park. So look, we've been fortuitous in the draws, but you can only play what's in front of you. And we've got a semi-final against Man City. Attacking-wise, we're a lot better. We create a lot more chances and we score a lot more goals. Defensively, we're definitely worse. We're conceding a lot more goals than we were. And I think with this Chelsea team, it's more, I look at it and we can compete against the big teams. We've proven we can compete against the big teams. But it's we've got like, so we tend to have wild swings in games, like the 2-2 with Brentford, like the Leeds game, like the Leicester game in the Cup, we'll be in control of a game. We'll have sort of a funny 15, 20-minute spell, throw it all away. And then recently, mate, we've been scoring a lot of last-minute winners. So despite the fact that we make it difficult for ourselves and lose control of games, we don't give up and we do push to the end, which is an improvement given last year's team would have just been blown over by a gust of wind. So I suppose there are positives, but ultimately the reality of the situation is the table doesn't lie. And we need, out of the last 10, 11 league games we've got, we need to really win, I think, 7 or 8 of them to get into European football. And given our lack of consistency, that's still going to be a big ask.
Yeah, it's kind of similar for us. We're in a position now where, I can't remember how many exactly games we have left, but we need to win the majority of them. And we haven't been good enough this season to win the majority, and obviously for us to stay in the league. But we'll get on to that as well. You've kind of alluded to it there, but I do want to quickly ask you again. Your recent results have been a bit better. Obviously, you beat Leicester in the Cup. I know they're a championship team, but still, obviously, you've beaten Newcastle at home, draw at Brentford, beaten Leeds again in the Cup, championship team. Draw at Chelsea, though, that's the impressive one. Sorry, at Chelsea, you are Chelsea. Draw at City, a win at Palace, the win at Villa Park in the Cup. Only one defeat in the league since the 4th of Feb, and that was haven't lost since the 4th of Feb in the league, and that was a poor one, admittedly, at home to Wolves, but that's the only one. Do you feel like you're turning the corner, or do you again allude more to the fact that you're too inconsistent in games?
No, I think we can definitely say that we have started to turn a little bit of a corner. It's too early to say for me that, we've turned the corner and now we're on an upward trajectory. That I don't think we're quite at that stage yet. But look, we've put in together a positive run of results. Our home form, which has been shocking, is now massively improved this season. We've only lost once at home since October, and that was that Wolves game that you referenced.
Yeah.
So the home form is definitely improving. Which is a good thing. Away form is not great still. That does need to pick up. We've only got 4 away games left this season. So, I mean, the majority of the games are going to be at home. Maybe that works better for us. I'm not sure. But look, the team has got better. And I think, for me personally, as a Chelsea fan, a lot of Chelsea fans are disillusioned with what's going on. It's not good enough. It's this and it's that. And look, no one's happy with being 11th in the league. But I think a lot of people don't apply context. I think this Chelsea job is probably a lot more difficult than a lot of people thought. I certainly think it's more difficult than perhaps I thought it was going to be. And we are getting there. We've got 2 games in hand, obviously, because of going deep into both cups. We win those, and I think we go 7th. And look, we've got games against the teams above us. So, our next 4 games, we've got you on Saturday. Then we play Man United at Stamford Bridge next Thursday. Then we play Sheffield United away, and then it's Everton at home. So we've got our next 4 games, 3 of them at home, 3 of them at home, and 3 of them are against teams fighting for their lives to stay in a division and games that we should be winning. So when you look at it like that, you think, right, well, actually, do you know what? We can kick on and secure whether it's 6th or 7th place because it is in our hands. But ultimately, I still worry about that consistency because we can go and win 3 or 4 games. But then we could go the next 3 or 4 games and win none. So I think that's still the big problem is a lack of consistency in the team.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And I think you're spot on just looking at some of your results. Based on that then, and based on what you've just said, you've mentioned Europe and then you reference getting 7th to qualify for Europe. What are your aims for the season so far then? I presume you're going to say qualifying for Europe, but obviously you've got a chance via the FA Cup as well. So would you want to prioritise the league? Because you said there it's in your own hands due to the games in hand and the fact that you're playing teams above you. Or would you try and concentrate on the FA Cup and win some silverware and do it that way?
Well, I mean, to be honest, the FA Cup is going to be an easier way of doing it. I know we've got Man City at Wembley, but having said that, we're 2 games away potentially from Europa League football. That is a lot easier than navigating the 10 or 11 games that we've got left in the league and getting the required points. FA Cup, it'd be nice to do it with the silverware as well. I always said at the start of the season, we need to try and win something this season, given there's no European football. We fell short in the Carabao Cup, which should never have happened. We've got another opportunity in the FA Cup. But ultimately, I think for me, right now, this second half of the season, it's just qualify for Europe. Whether it's through winning the FA Cup, whether it's through the league. Of course, I'd prefer it through the FA Cup because you get the trophy as well to go with it, which is, what football's all about, winning stuff, fans enjoy it, days out and all that. But for me, just get into the Europa League any way possible. I think if we can I don't know if it's been confirmed yet, but if that 5th place does go to the Champions League, it bumps everything down a little bit. So, 6th and 7th would become Europa League, I think, and then 8th would be Conference League. Now, of course, we don't really want Conference League, but we've got so many players in the squad, a lot of young players. We just need more games. So if it is going to be Conference League, then all right, it's not great. It's not what we want, but just anything that gets us more games and more time for these players to get on the pitch is going to be vital for next season.
Yeah, fair enough. Interesting points there. I do want to ask about Pochettino because you've referenced him already, and some fans. My memory of you from earlier in the season is you're quite not as shouty and screamy as some of the other Chelsea fans. Quite well balanced, and you'll sit there and you'll make a good point. A lot of Chelsea fans recently are becoming very shouty and screamy about Poch, wanting him out. I won't mention any names, but the bigger Chelsea creators are wanting him out. Where do you stand on Pochettino now? Is it a case of pointless sacking him now, get to the end of the season and reassess, or would you like a change now?
Oh no, it's pointless making a change now. A change is not going to happen now. There's too few games left, and if we're going to learn anything from last season, be careful what you wish for. Everyone wanted Graham Potter out. I think I include myself towards the end because it just wasn't working. But ultimately, that didn't actually stand us in any better stead. And if he just stayed for the remainder of the season, we would have been no worse off. So look, with Pochettino, I think, he's been dealt a difficult hand. Let's make no mistake about it. Of course he has. But there's things that are out of his control, but there's also things that are in his control that he simply hasn't done well enough. I think his in-game management's been dreadful, to be perfectly honest. I think he's reactive rather than proactive in terms of making changes, in terms of substitutions, in terms of sussing danger out within a game. I think some of his team selections are questionable. I think the way that he's used certain players has been questionable. Yes, some of that's due to injuries, but generally speaking, I think there's been quite a lot of, not using players in their best positions or playing in a way that gets the best out of them. But having said that, I also think there have been improvements in terms of we compete in big games. We've got that spirit there, which wasn't there last season. We're scoring a lot more goals. Players have improved under him. I mean, I know Cole Palmer's just arrived, but Cole Palmer's improved. Nicholas Jackson's getting better. Mudrik's is getting better now this second half of the season. I think Madueke is starting to improve. Caicedo is growing into this team as well. Like, we are improving as a team. Malagusto as well. So there are positives. But I think ultimately for me at Chelsea, we need to get to a stage now where we have a period of consistency and continuity. And that doesn't mean just blindly backing the manager regardless of the results. But it means that, do you know what? At the first time of a difficult spell, which is going to happen regardless of the manager, we stick with someone and we get behind them rather than every time it gets difficult, just calling for them to go. Because eventually we're going to have to back a manager for a difficult period. I'm not saying Pochettino is going to be the guy that wins us trophies necessarily, but he can be the guy that builds us to a certain point, and then someone else comes in and pushes us on to that winning thing. So for me, I definitely keep him to the end of the season, reassess then. Of course, he might decide that, this has been a shocking environment to work in. I actually don't want to continue. There's also that side of things. But for me, personally, with the managerial market as it is as well, we're not going to get a world-class manager that people keep referring to. It would very much be, another project manager, another young and up-and-coming person. I just don't know if that's going to be right for us. So for me personally, of course, depending on how the season ends, if we don't get any European football and win nothing, then I think maybe a change is right. But if we qualify for Europe, then I think it's worth sticking with him.
Yep, fair enough. There's also been a lot of noise, not so much recently, but more at the start of the season about the new owners and Todd Bowley and the way that and the way that he's been doing it with the long-term contracts and stuff like that. Where do you stand on that? Are you currently happy with the new ownership and the way they're doing things, or are you a little bit frustrated with him?
Look, I think it's twofold. I think, I can be happy with certain things they've done. They've shown ambition. They've spent a lot of money. And that's one thing that you always want from like your football club owners. You want them to be ambitious and spend money and bring players in. There's nothing worse than having ownership that aren't prepared to put their hand in their pocket and do their best for the team. So in that regard, absolutely big ticks in the box there in terms of spending money and showing ambition. There are other things that I look at and I think, these guys haven't quite got this yet. I think obviously coming in, being new to football specifically, I think they're learning on the job. There's a lot of things they've got wrong. I think there's been too much wholesale change way too quickly. Within 2 years, everything at the club has changed from top to bottom. A lot of changes occurred in such a short space of time rather than gradual change, which I think would have perhaps yielded slightly better results. I think there's a lack of communication between the ownership and the fans, and in terms of the direction that they're looking to take the club in. So it is mixed. There's some good things, but there's also some things that you look at and you think, yeah, I don't understand why they've done this or what they're looking to do. So I'd say it's a mixed bag, mate, on the ownership. But look, we've got to give them a chance. We have to give them a chance. They're here for a minimum of 10 years. They've not even been here 2 years yet. I think, yeah, it's wasted energy to direct any sort of frustrations at getting the ownership out, which I see quite a lot. They're here for 10 years. That's just a waste of energy. Maybe focus that energy on trying to get them to make some changes that you think would be beneficial.
Yeah, I see a lot of that on a lot of fan bases, just focusing their energy on stuff that doesn't really matter, including our own at the minute. There's been a lot of negativity before the win recently surrounding Vincent Kompany, and I just think nothing's going to change. What's the point in whinging about it? So I do agree with that. And obviously, it's not all doom and gloom at Chelsea this season. As I said earlier, I do think it's all been blown out of proportion a little bit. Yes, you're not where you want to be, but there has been some positives as well. Cole Palmer, like you said, you referenced him earlier, but he's coming from City in the summer, done absolutely brilliantly. Yes, he takes a lot of the penalties, if not all of them, but he is currently a leading goal scorer on 14 goals. We were actually linked to him at the start of the season. I remember thinking there's absolutely no chance. Somebody like a West Ham or a Palace or an Everton will come in for him. Then you guys come in for him. I was like, obviously he's going to go there then. But he must be happy with him and how well he's done since he's come in.
Mate, he's been exceptional. It was kind of a bit of a surprise signing. So I remember at the time Fabrizio Romano kind of breaking the news on Twitter saying that Chelsea are in for a surprise attacker, and everyone's thinking, oh, it could be a Musiala, it could be Florian Wirtz or whatever. And it comes out as Cole Palmer. He's sort of thinking, well, it's a little bit of an anticlimax because you sort of built yourself up thinking it's going to be some big name. And I wasn't sure how he was going to do. You know, he was on the periphery at City. He had shown some moments, but look, was struggling to get regular minutes. No shame in that at all. And he come to us, and I sort of thought, well, if he wants to come and play regular football, I was thinking with the players we've got in that position, I was sort of thinking, well, where's he going to get regular minutes? Like, he's not, maybe might play more than he does at City, but is he going to establish himself as a regular starter? And fair play to him. Since he's come in, mate, he's been absolutely exceptional. I think he's, well, unless Arsenal win the league, in which case Bukayo Saka will be named Young Player of the Year, I think Palmer is a shoo-in for the PFA Young Player of the Year. He's been exceptional. He's our most important player right now. Everything goes through him, scoring goals, whether it's penalties, open play goals, the confidence on the ball, the assists he gets as well. You only have to see that little backheel flick for the Chukwuemeka winner in the cup against Leicester. The guy's just got oozes confidence, and you know he's everything you'd want in an attacking player. And yeah, mate, it's been a massive, massive surprise. I knew he was good and he had ability, but I didn't think he was this good.
Yeah, he's definitely one that I worry about at the weekend, to be honest. He's been absolutely great this season. And the fact that we were actually, like I said, interested in him at the start of the season, and I look back on and kind of laugh slightly because could you imagine if we'd signed him? Like, could you imagine Cole Palmer up front for Burnley at the minute? We wouldn't be in the position that we'd be in, probably, put it that way. Just a quick shout out to the channel members. You can see the names now running across the bottom of the screen. Thank you so much to those of you that joined recently. We had quite a lot joining on the last full-time show. Everyone was obviously in a good mood after the win against Brentford. We had about 5 people join, so thank you to everybody for joining. And thank you to the long-standing members as well. We really do appreciate your support. Like I said, the names are running across the bottom of the screen now. And if you do want to join, there's like a little join button underneath the video next to the subscribe button. Press that, or there is a link in the description as well if you want to do that. And you will get stuff like early release on shows and more for next season. We're still working on what to offer for next season. We'll probably be in touch actually with the members to see what you want, but thank you. All right, Charlie, I also like to get people's opinions on Burnley as well and how we've done this season, especially opposition fans. It's always good to hear people's views and how we are seen in their eyes. Obviously not a season to be proud of, to be fair. We expected a lot more coming up because we came up from the Championship in such a manner, absolutely dominated the league, but we found it tough. And thanks to the points deductions, we actually still probably just about in with a shout, just looking at the Premier League table now. So we've got 9 games left. I know I said earlier I couldn't remember it, but I've just quickly checked now. So we have 9 games left. Currently 5 points away from safety now, which is Luton in 17th. Thanks to that 4-point deduction. It were 4, weren't it, for Forest? And of course the 10 for Everton. If Everton didn't have the 10, they'd be on 35 and they'd be miles away. But just 5 points off Luton. Probably a tough ask after only winning 4 games all season. We probably need to win minimum 5 in our last 9, which is more than 50%. depending on how many points are given back to certain teams as well. What are your thoughts on Burnley, the season so far, and the fact that we seem to be sticking by Vincent Kompany? Because it's interesting, especially from a club who have in the past been quite quick to fire managers as well. So what are your thoughts on the way Burnley trying to do it?
Do you know what? I've been a little bit disappointed with Burnley this season. As you referenced, you were exceptional in the Championship last season, won that league quite easily, played some outstanding football. Oh, look, the step up to the Premier League is massive. Of course it is. We all know that. And we all know should be praised for kind of sticking to his guns and wanting to play in the way that he did in the Championship. Or is it a bit naive to think you can come up and play that way in the Premier League as well? And maybe there should have been a little bit more adaptation potentially. I am surprised, given how much better you were than everyone else in the Championship last season, that you've not managed to do better than Luton so far this season, who seems to have done pretty well. I think there's some good players at Burnley. I think, look, James Trafford has struggled in goal. I've seen he was replaced the other week by Muric. I think I've seen a lot of Burnley fans online have been calling for that change quite a few weeks before.
Pretty much since
before that actually happened. So, I mean, that's not been great. I mean, look, our lad Datro Fofana that's come in on loan to you boys, he's done really well.
I was going to ask about him.
The last few weeks, he's getting goals, getting assists, looks like a handful up there, and it's been a big positive for you. I just think I wasn't expecting Burnley to do, sensational stuff. I was expecting a little bit better. And I just think, given how well he did in the Championship, it's been a little bit disappointing. But, talks of maybe replacing Vincent Kompany, I think would be a big mistake. I don't know what really people are more there expect from Burnley. All right, you'd expect maybe a few more points on the board, but realistically, it's going to be a relegation dogfight. And given the points deductions, you are still within grasp. Of course, having only won 4 games all season to then win more games than you've won all season in the last 9 is going to be a big ask. Of course, it's not.
It's not likely, isn't it?
I like Burnley. I think they've got some good players. I think there's a good structure at the club. And sticking by Vincent Kompany, I think, would absolutely be the right thing to do. I think he'd be the guy that could bring you straight back up. But yeah, overall, mate, I just say it's been a bit disappointing. I think I expected a bit better, really, in terms of at least being the best of the 3 sides that come up.
Yeah, I think every Burnley fan would agree with that. We're all disappointed with how it's gone. I think the majority of us expected to stay up. We're not expected to stay up with ease, although I do remember referencing we'd probably be around 14th at the start of the season. Obviously, we're way off that. But yeah, I think everybody agree with that. And I agree with the Vincent Kompany thing. There's been a few shouts, even from some people that help out on the podcast now, of wanting Kompany gone. But I just don't see the point. And again, for next season, like you've referenced already, he's the best person to bring us back up. He's already shown what he can do in the Championship. So fingers crossed for next season, I think. Who knows, though? Get a result at Stamford Bridge and everything could change. You mentioned Fofana, and then I did want to ask you about him. What are your thoughts on him as a player? Because from what we've seen so far of him at Burnley, he's very good in spells and then quiet, and then he'll have an absolute stinker. Like, he's missed a few sitters since he's been here, but he's also scored some great goals. The one at West Ham, for example, even the one he scored against Brentford, he's seen the keeper come in, just dinked it over him. So there's a player in there. There's definitely a player in there. It's probably been our best forward of the season, without a doubt. I know he's only been here since January. That's probably a bit harsh on Foster because he's missed a lot of it. Foster does have the ability, but we've not seen it. From Foster. What are your thoughts on Fofana? I presume Chelsea as a club would want to keep hold of him.
Well, to be honest, mate, like he come in. I can't remember when he came in last season at some point. I think last summer he came in, or last January, I think it was January 23. He came from Norway. He didn't get used much. He had a couple of appearances. I think he started a Premier League game against Fulham. He was subbed at half time, which I didn't think was right. He actually done all right in that game. He's shown glimpses, but ultimately, he had very few opportunities at Chelsea in that second half of the season when he first arrived. He then went on loan to Union Berlin in Germany for the first part of this season. He started really well, but then kind of tailed off a little bit, fell out with the manager. He was playing some Champions League football. I think he got a couple of goals in the group stage. And then obviously he goes to Burnley and he's really started to show a little bit of what he's about. I think he's a handful. He's physical. He can finish. Like with a lot of young players there, he'll do something good and then he'll follow it up by missing a few absolute sitters. I think that's just like part and parcel of the consistency with those young players. But mate, I like him, and I think, he's shown that he can do it in a Premier League. I know it's a small sample size, it's only a few games, but he has shown that he can do it in this league. And for me personally, do I look at there being a place for him at Chelsea next season in the squad? I'd probably say no. But if he can go and have a Premier League loan for a whole season playing regularly, then I think there's absolutely every chance that, if he does well next season on loan somewhere, that Chelsea would have a look at him. But if anything, his value's definitely increased and we would make a profit on him if he were to go. I mean, ideally, if Burnley were to stay up somehow, we just extend that loan for next season as well. I think that would make sense. But look, I like him. I think there's a player there, but I've not seen enough of him in a Chelsea shirt or in general to say, like, this kid's the real deal. But I think there's a Premier League quality player there for sure.
I agree, mate. There's been some chat of Burnley. This is just from fans, nothing official, even from journalists or anything, like wanting to keep hold of him, trying to keep hold of him. But I don't think there's any chance of that if we go down. He himself, I presume, wouldn't want to play in the Championship. Just looking ahead to Saturday then, any injuries and suspensions at Chelsea that we need to be aware of?
Just the usual. I mean, just the usual absentees. Obviously, no Reece James, no Fofana, no Lavia, no Ugochukwu, no Levi Colwell. I think we've got 5 or 6 out. I don't know if Nkunku might be back after the break or not. I haven't really seen too much on that. And maybe a doubt on Enzo Fernandez, given the travel back from Los Angeles. He's only going to get back sort of early hours of Thursday or Friday morning. Probably won't be able to train at all before the Burnley game. So maybe he might be on the bench, depending. Other than that, mate, everyone else is fit and available. So yeah, should be a strong side. With no excuses not to go with our best team. We don't play again until Thursday afterwards. Plenty of time to recover. So yeah, I'd be expecting a strong team.
What sort of game are you expecting then? Because you've referenced already that you're quite poor at the back, but decent up front. And like I said earlier, Cole Palmer worries me. Even Jackson, like you said, he's getting better and he did score against us earlier in the season, to be fair. You've got Mudryk as well. These players do worry me because we're similar to you in that sense. Like, all right, going forward. Well, I'll say all right, better than what we are going for. Better at going forward than what we are at the back. Your strikers worry me with our defence, but we have been a little bit better defensively recently. Darby O'Shea is getting better. He still makes mistakes. Muric coming in is better for us. We looked a lot more organised against Brentford than what we usually do. But I am still pretty worried about your front line. Are you expecting sort of like an attacking sort of like philosophy from Chelsea? Get at us from minute one.
Yeah, I think so. I think, given we're at home, given the fact that you guys are struggling, given the fact that we've only lost once at home since October, I'd expect us to go from minute one. I think it will be difficult, though. I think you will make it difficult for us. I expect, you to sit back, get men behind the ball, try and hit us on the counter, try and take advantage from any set pieces you get. We've not defended set pieces well or balls into the box well in general this season. We have conceded quite a few goals that way. So, if you can get a decent delivery into the box, then, you'll have every chance. I think that'll be your best chance of scoring. But I expect us to take the game to you with the likes of Cole Palmer, the pace of Mudryk if he starts, which hopefully he does. Nicholas Jackson, as you said, is getting better and better. So yeah, I'd expect us to take the game to you. But I do also think that we could get frustrated if time goes on and we haven't broken you down yet. I think you guys might grow into confidence, but I think probably the worst thing for Burnley would be to concede an early goal. I think you've got to, stay in the game for as long as possible. Because if you concede early, I think the game plan sort of goes out the window and it makes it a completely different game. But I would expect, I don't want to say comfortable, but I would expect a Chelsea win.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll get into predictions in a second. But just before we do, I want to remind everybody that we have exciting news to bring you from Uphold, Burnley's sleeve sponsor for the 23-24 season and a supporter of Turfcast. Uphold have now launched their limited edition Burnley Uphold card, giving fans a chance to show their support home and away. The card is free and comes with a host of benefits, including the ability to spend in any currency anywhere in the world where MasterCard is accepted with no foreign transaction fees, competitive exchange rates, and an easy integration with Google or Apple Pay. You can get your card today at www.uphold.com/BurnleyFC. And when fans first use their card for the first time, Uphold will donate £5 to Burnley in the community, supporting the Burnley family, both on and off the pitch. Terms and conditions apply. Yeah, I do want to get into predictions, but I do want to, because I'm going into this game with more confidence than what I would have done. That doesn't mean I think we're going to win, of course, but more confidence I would have done this time 6 games ago because of the win last time out. And yes, it was Brentford, and yes, they had an early man rightly sent off. But obviously before that, West Ham, we played quite well there. probably quite fortunate to come away with the draw in the end, but also had the chances to win it. And even the Bournemouth game, yes, we lost 2-0 at home to them, and that was quite damaging for the season, to be honest. Well, the damage was already done, but even more damaging. But we did actually play well. And in them last 3 games, I feel like we are playing better and we have turned the corner. I agree. If you get an early goal, and I think that will be your plan, because we have capitulated many times this season, and every time we've capitulated, it's because we've conceded early on. Arsenal at home, City at home. I think you guys as well, but we capitulated in that one at home. So I am a bit more confident than what I would be normally. I would be normally expecting maybe a 4-0 comfortable Chelsea win, but I think we'll frustrate you, and I think we'll get at you. I just think ultimately your quality will shine through. And like I said, that front line does worry me. You have got some good players in there. I just think ultimately you'll just have too much quality for us. So I'm going to go 2-1 to Chelsea for my prediction. I think we can score against you, because obviously Fofana won't be playing, but I'm pretty sure Foster's, well, he came on against Brentford, so fingers crossed he can come in and fill Fofana's boots. So, and if he plays anything like he did earlier in the season, then he should be able to cause some problems. So yeah, I am expecting a Chelsea win, but I'm expecting a battling Burnley performance, and hopefully we can take some confidence into the 4 games after that, because then we've got Wolves at home, Everton away, Brighton at home, and Sheffield United away. So if we can win 3 of them, we put ourselves right back in the mix. But yes, Charlie, your predictions, please.
Look, I think we'll win. I'm going to go for a 3-1. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I think we'll get one, whether you take a shock lead or whether it's a bit of a consolation at some point during the game. I don't fancy us to get a clean sheet, but I think we've got more than enough firepower, and we should create more than enough opportunities to get a few goals. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 win.
Yeah, fair enough. But we'll start wrapping it up there then. Just before we do you want to let everyone know where they can see you and your content, if anyone wants to digest any Chelsea content before the match?
Yeah, of course, mate. So my channel at Blue Brother CFC, all the usual stuff, vlogs, pre-match, post-match, general Chelsea chat. You can find me on there. And also I'm over on Chelsea Fan TV as well, doing match reactions or whatever after the games and all that sort of thing, if you want to see any of that as well. So yeah, Blue Brother CFC and Chelsea Fan TV are the 2 places that you can find me.
I do love that vibe. The fact that Chelsea Fan TV are using other creators to try and help create like a bigger pool of creators. That's what I try and do on Turfcast. I'll use Vizzy. I'll use Sam from Claret's Roundup. I use Dan from Turf Morehouse. Andrew from Always Claret. So I do like that vibe. So definitely, please make sure you check out Charlie and the 2 channels as just mentioned. But Charlie, like I said, we'll end it there. Good luck for the rest of the season. But of course, after Saturday, mate.
And thanks for having me on, mate. Pleasure as always.